introduce the whole session. I'm going to sit over here at the camera. Yep. Good afternoon and welcome everyone to another live session from Shenton Safaris, coming live from the last waterhole hide at Mwamba Bush Camp in South Luangwa, Zambia. It's Craig again here today, and I'm joined by Yoram.
Hello.
And we've got Rowan as the cameraman. So we're very lucky that one of our guides not being out this afternoon, and he's able to join us today, Yoram. So we've got a full-on guide from South Luangwa. So everyone at home, you're welcome to start sending in some questions as we enjoy another afternoon here at the waterhole, and we'll be happy to answer everything that you guys can ask for us. So it's been an extremely hot day today. Just like last time we came to you guys live, we said it was around 40 degrees. Well, today was over 40 degrees Celsius. I think we were about 43 degrees out this side today. And the temperature is still quite hot. We're in the high 30s at the moment. But slowly, as the temperature is dropping, so more and more animals will start getting active, moving around, and hopefully come visit us here at the waterhole. Our two resident hippo are still in the same place. Those of you who have seen the earlier live sessions would have seen the day that the second hippo arrived here, all scarred and battered and not in such a good condition. So over time, he's now been accepted by the male that's been here permanently. And now we've just got these two guys that are relaxing here all the time. They seem to be accepting each other quite nicely here down at the water. I see the live chat is working there from Sharon and Sheila. Hello to you guys. It's Craig speaking, but Yoram's also here with me today. And feel free to send in some questions, guys, and we'll see what we can answer for you. So Yoram, I think what I'll do is I'll just ask a little bit from your side, you being a local and knowing what's going on in the area. It'll be nice to get some background of who you are and where you're from and all the rest of it. So how long have you been guiding here in the valley for?
Started with the trend by Norman Car Safaris. That was 2009. And I got my first job opportunity in Kafue National Park. I worked in Kafue National Park for 3 years.
Oh, lovely.
And moved to Shenton Safaris in 2013. So this is like my 5th season now.
Oh, fantastic.
Because I loved my valley very much. So I couldn't get it away from that. Then I felt like, okay, I'll go back home.
Okay, so you did your original training here in the valley, and then you went to Kafue after that?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes, to get another safari experience out there.
And are the two parks very different? I've never been to Kafue myself, but I've heard a lot about it. So I think that's the largest park in Zambia.
Exactly, it is about 22,480 square kilometers.
Wow.
Secondly, first after this is South Ruangwa is about 9,050.
Oh my
so
goodness.
you can imagine it's like double that. South Ruangwa.
Wow.
Amazing national park, but still slightly undeveloped.
Okay.
Very different. Good game. Habitat is quite different, more of Miombo woodland.
Okay.
And when you go slightly north of Kafue, you also get like the plains, which is very famous, the Busanga Plain. Most of our guests have been. And south of the park, you get the Nanzila Plains, which is very, very big plains as well. You can see beautiful lovebirds drinking there.
And right on cue, they fly away as we get to see them. I'm sure they'll be back.
I'm sure.
So that's quite interesting. But you said your heart is in Luangwa, so now you've returned and obviously enjoying it if you're already 5th season here and enjoying the habitats and the surroundings. I'm guessing you've had some good sightings over the year.
Amazing sightings. And if you can really see now what's just happening now on this last waterhole, you cannot run away from it. Some people just stay here waiting and these animals just come. Birds, and you can see lawn. There were some impalas just walking away. Yep, lovely. This time of the year, we have like less and less water inland, so most of the animals just come through at this waterhole. Yeah. So that hippo.
Just showing us that he's alive there, swishing the tail a bit. It's funny, sometimes you can watch these guys for hours and they don't even move in the slightest. They're just dead still the whole day, just trying to use as little energy as possible and enjoy the water as much as they can.
Sure, yeah.
So yeah, it definitely looks like the birds are taking advantage of the moment until the mammals arrive. And Rowan has spotted a nice hammercorp. Lovely.
And just on the back of the hippo, the oak speakers there. The red-billed.
Yeah. I have some binoculars here for me.
Thank you. Great.
So we always bring our binoculars down to the hide, but it's mostly for birds. Only when they're at the far end, because everything else is so close. You definitely don't need binoculars.
Yeah, the red-billed ox speakers.
Okay, Sheila's asking a question here. Yoram, she's asking if we can tell her a little bit what's happened in the last week or so with the lions in the area. And I'm sure you'll know because you've been out on the game drives and seeing them. Maybe you can tell us what the prides have been up to. Have you seen lions in the last week at all? Anything exciting happening with them?
Oh, amazing! That's a good question. If there is a place ever in this national park where you can enjoy your lions, it's the Shenton Safaris. We have a very big pride of lions, up to approximately, when they group together, 22 lions. That's
Wow.
Mamba Kaingo Pride. We abbreviate it as MKs. And recently we spotted it not far from Kaingo camp. 3 lionesses plus 5 cubs or yearlings, which are like 3 months plus or minus, very tiny cubs, which is amazing. Yeah, and also we have the new boys which have just came in the area for about now, if roughly I can say 2 to 3 months old now in the area, which are trying to push off the original males of the Mamba Kaingo Pride, of which they haven't yet succeeded.
Still trying.
Still trying, yeah, trying hard, but yeah. And also we have the Hollywood Pride, which have been recently spotted with these new males in the area. Only 6 females stick together. The Hollywood Pride is like still struggling. It's not all that very stable at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that just because there's been a changeover of males in the last couple of years, so they still don't have like proper dominant males to look after them? Or is it just how the pride is? They don't really get that big?
It's because of the males in the area. The original males of the Hollywood Prides have disappeared. Last year, I saw them mating with the Mwamba Kaingo Pride males. And this year, when these new males came, they accepted these new males. So I hope they get settled with these males in the area. Maybe it will work. Otherwise, because of the males, the pride is really distorted. Yeah.
But new males, is that the Louis males? There's four of them altogether.
Yeah. Originally, after confirming from the carnival team, they confirmed that those young males, new males coming from the Louis Pride, which is like south of the park from Kaingo here. Yeah, and now they are more into this area.
Okay, but I'm sure 4 brothers together should be able to be quite stable, hopefully, for the next few years.
You know, Craig, if you are my brother, you know my weaknesses, and I'll know your weaknesses. So being that collision of 4, that would be definitely a brilliant collision.
Okay.
And if the Mwamba Kaingo males are not steady, they can easily take over as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Rowan, I don't know if you can go further down on the bank. There's a beautiful bird called a lilac-breasted roller that's drinking some water, maybe about 10 meters past the guinea fowl. Let's see if you can, I don't know if you can see it there. See if you can pick up on that.
Good.
Yeah. We'll see if we can see some of the colors when he takes off. I'm sure we can see. So this is probably the most photographed bird in Africa. Extremely beautiful bird, although we can't see all the colors. So it's in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen now. No, you see it like that. But beautiful shades of purple, pink, blue, turquoise, some white on the head. Really stunning. The colors not too amazing at the moment because the sun is there. Well, if anyone saw that flash of blue, that was the lilac-breasted roller just taking off after we were saying how beautiful he is. It's a common bird to see on the safari, but don't see them too much actually drinking water down at the you know, on the ground drinking water. So that's really nice to see. That's a great sighting.
Yeah, you're very welcome, Shira. on Twitter. Yeah, the lilac-breasted rotor is the national emblem for Botswana, which is amazing, amazing, beautiful bird. As Craig was putting it out, very photogenic bird in most of the African parks. Yeah.
So I see we got about 19, 20 people online at the moment. So good afternoon to everyone again. So coming live to you from the last waterhole hide at Shenton Safaris, South Luangwa, Zambia. And yeah, please feel free to send through any questions that you might have. And Yoram, I'm sure you remember Sharon. She was with you on safari, sending in. She was with you when you guys saw, sounds like Luwambe. Have we seen him recently? Sharon, I think I might be able to answer for you. We do a weekly blog that goes out called the Big Cat Roundup, where all the guides, Yoram, Sylvester, Pat, and all the guys, they record every single cat sighting that we have in the area, and that all gets formulated and put into a blog, which goes out once a week, usually on a Thursday or a Friday afternoon through our Facebook page and on our website. And it details every single cat that's been seen by all the guides and where they've been seen and what they were doing. The last time Luwambe was entered into that blog as a sighting, so he had a bad injury to his throat, and he was seen close to an area known as Shortcut Crossing. Then he wasn't seen for about a week to 10 days after that. And then Sylvester managed to see him about a week after that, not too far from the crossing in a different area called Leopard Loop. And Sylvester watched him climb up and climb down 2 or 3 different trees. And that was the last recorded sighting of that leopard. At the time, Sylvester said he was in slightly better condition than when they saw him previously. So we can only guess as what's happened. Either that injury maybe forced him to move out of the area and maybe go somewhere else, look for a more suitable habitat where there weren't as many leopards around possibly. Or maybe the injury could have been quite severe. We won't know. We'll have to just keep our eyes open and see. Maybe, we could come back in 6 months' time next season and suddenly he could be here waiting for us. Mm-hmm. I think that's always the exciting thing of being a seasonal camp that's open for 6 months and then closed for the other half of the year. You never know what could happen while you're away. So, yeah, but that's about as much as what we know at the moment, but we'll definitely keep our eyes open and see if we can spot him in the last few remaining weeks while we're here. Nice shot there of the guinea fowl taking over. I think every live session we've done, the guinea fowl have been here. They absolutely love this waterhole.
Yeah. So yeah, coming to our helmeted guinea fowls, 2 species have been recorded in the valley. The helmeted guinea fowl, which is we are watching now live, and the other one is called the crested guinea fowl, which is more confined to the escarpment area, which is more to the western boundary of the park. It is not very common on the valley floor. Yeah, so 2 species have been recorded in the valley. Yeah, I wish to see one of those very beautiful looking guinea fowls. The crested guinea fowl.
I'm also 8 years in the bush. I don't think I've been in the right area. I'm also still waiting to see a crested guinea fowl. I've seen them in captivity before, but that doesn't really count. We enjoy to see animals wild and free. So maybe one day we can get out to the escarpments and see what we can see out there.
Sure.
Jennifer, Jen, just to answer your question there that you read on the hippo hide cam. On that particular bank of the Luangwa River, when the water's coming down in full force, when the river is right up, just a couple inches below the top of that bank, really, the water rises extremely high. So where the hippo cam is, that would be completely underwater. You wouldn't be able to see any of those hippos, any of those sandbanks. That all goes completely underwater. The only thing you might be able to see is the very top of that bank, just a couple inches. And years where it floods, it can actually burst that bank completely. And exactly the same here at Mwamba, on the far bank and where we are, in years where it's flooded, the whole entire camp can actually be underwater. So the water does go up very much. Nice. Rowan spotted a female bushbuck, just slowly taking her time before running down to the water. Another question there from Sharon. Oh, I'm really glad that you do read the Big Cat Roundup. It's an awesome way to stay in touch with what's happening here in the area. A nice roundup of everything that's going on, which is great to hear. And then you've asked how much rain have we had yet this season. To answer, pretty much nothing, to be honest. About three weeks ago, we had one shower that lasted about, and I'm talking about at Mwamba, we had a shower that lasted about 20 minutes in total. And that is the only rainfall that season. Usually we get a couple scattered showers that come during the month of August. But this year, those rains haven't arrived. It's been really dry. I'm sure you've noticed on this live webcam and also at the hippo cam how low the water is and how dusty everything is at the moment. It's really, really dry. So we're not too sure what's going to happen this rainy season. It could just be normal rainfall, or possibly it could be one of those years where the rain is just being built up and suddenly it's all going to come all at once. Oh, nice, Yoram. Some of your guests are saying hello, Jennifer Bank. I'm sure you remember her.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, June and last season.
Thank you. I received other regards from Gerard. Very well, and I hope you are doing very well. Hope to see you next year. Yeah, thank you. Love the hammock.
Looks like a lot of insect activity on the water now that it's becoming quite stagnant. Bridget, your question about mange, I'm sure you're referring to the cats. I'm sure you're talking about lions and so on. It's not a very common thing to see, to be honest, not in this area. It's not impossible. You could get it, especially when conditions are rough and it can be very dry like this. I mean, anywhere mange can exist, but it's not something that we see on a regular basis. I don't know, Yoram, have you seen any lions with mange or anything like that? Not really?
Not really, but you can, the few lions like the Hollywood, you see like they lose a little bit of hair, like a little bit of bruises. To me, it doesn't look like serious mange. Like maybe when they're trying to attack big game like buffaloes, then there is that friction.
Yes.
Not really serious mange, like losing the whole
fur
or hair on the bodies. Yeah.
Oh, that's a lovely shot that Rowan's got there with this bushbuck. She still hasn't come down to drink though. She's just kind of walking around the water, making sure the coast is clear. Maybe she'll try on the other side of the water hole, but I can see on the far end another impala is finally making his way. You know, these animals have to be really careful when approaching water, even if in their mind they're pretty sure there isn't a crocodile or there can't be predators. They're never 100% sure, so they have to really take it as it comes, watch the water for a long time, make sure that the coast is clear. They get a bit more confidence if they can watch other animals drinking before them. But the fact that there's no big mammals drinking at the moment, these impala are a bit skittish. You know, there's no one else to test the water edge before they go down. So really going to take their time here. and just make sure the coast is clear before they eventually get down to the water. Yeah, Jen, yeah, the buffalo haven't been here in quite a while now. It's been over a week. And we find that when they are coming, they're actually really quick to just quickly drink and get out of the area. I'm sure that there's been some pressure from the lions, but I think the guys saw big herds of buffalo at the river in the last day or two. So they seem to be more towards the river at the moment. And I don't think that they ventured far enough inland. Possibly there's better grazing on that side. But maybe one of these days, you know, if the lions pressurize them to come back this way, then they can come visit us again. And Christine, the bird on that bushbuck was one of the oxpeckers. So it's a small little bird that eats some of the parasites on the antelope species as well as some of the mammals. So even the hippo can get them sometimes, and the buffalo and so on. And this oxpecker is just looking for some ticks and parasites. Oh, lovely. Rowan, right in front of us is a greater honeyguide. We got this last live session we did here. And literally, as we got the camera on and we flew away, there he is. Beautiful. Geez, that's a good spot, Yoram. Thanks very much for that. Awesome. So this is your greater honeyguide. What a lovely bird. Definitely not the most colorful bird out here, but it's still a very special sighting because you can often hear them, especially in the Mapani woodland areas. But to actually see them is quite difficult. We hear it while we're driving around, but to see them like this, so up close and personal, is a really good sighting.
Exactly.
You don't even need binoculars for this one.
No.
Right in front of us. That's fantastic.
It's one of the birds that's very interesting out there in the bush. Because there's like two amazing different calls, which is totally different. The other one sounds like victory, which is the territorial call, and you can hear it, and you can look very hard to spot it. And the other one will be the guiding call, which can lead you to the beehive. It sounds like someone is shaking the branches, and it will just fly close to you. And when you follow it, you whistle, you answer back. It can lead you to the beehive, which is very interesting. The most interesting thing for this bird is that when you collect the honey, you leave the lovers for them. Then they will come and feed on those lovers, which is very interesting. Yeah, beautiful and lovely bird.
And do you think honey badger could use them at all?
This is a very tricky question. I have been questioned for many times. You know, honey badger is active at night, and this bird is active in the day.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's right to say honey badgers will use them unless they both active in the day or night.
Okay.
Maybe in other places they can be crepuscular, meaning that they can be active early morning of the day. Then they can do that. But to be honest, I'm not sure.
Yeah. No, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Some lovely lily and lovebirds now. Quite a good sized flock. The birds are really coming into their own now this afternoon. So Sharon, your question coming in, I can give you an update. So yeah, we had that lioness here just over a week ago that unfortunately had one or two serious injuries, and she eventually succumbed to her injuries and she died after about the third day being here at the waterhole. So we had the Carnival Project, which is part of the conservation groups in the area. They came out to ID her. They came and took photos of the whisker patterns, as well as they inspected her injuries to see what was happening. So they estimated her to be around 10 years of age. Her teeth were still in very good condition, so her main canines that the lions would obviously use during hunting and so on, they were in quite good condition. And other than that, she just had one serious injury on her side that came, it looked like from a buffalo horn, where a buffalo had pierced the skin. And although the wound had closed up, the carnivore project said that in all likelihood the wound could have been turned into an abscess on her inside, and that's why she had succumbed to her injuries eventually. But the pride is the Kapunda pride. So one of the members of the Kapunda pride, it is a pride in the area that's located further inland. We don't see them every day, but they're quite well known around this watering hole, and then further inland is where we get to see them. So that's all that we know about her. Some of her sisters did come to visit her in the few days that she was here, and actually the night that she died, 2 of the pride members actually came to almost see her off. It was actually quite touching, but yeah, unfortunately that's nature and so on. So the Kapundas are one less member, but I'm sure they'll be having cubs soon, and one of them will grow up to take her place.
Yes, yeah.
Question about leopard and hyena here at the hide. I'm very sure that we do get leopard and hyena coming to drink here quite often. The problem is it's going to be at nighttime, and we're probably all sleeping when those animals are coming through. I myself personally have seen leopard here a few times close to sunset. On the webcam, you might be able to see it. The thing is, leopard's camouflage is so good. When they come at that time in the afternoon, they actually blend so well into the background, it's hard to see them off the webcam. But yeah, and definitely hyenas are seen here, so we do have them in the area.
I think the other day I even saw the hyena feeding on the just same dead line. Yeah, there were 2 hyenas ripping it apart.
Yeah, nothing goes to waste.
No.
Jacques Fossey, are the lovebirds indigenous to the area? So they're not endemic as such that you can only find them in this area, but yeah, we will have them around. But we're loving all these questions. If you guys can keep them coming in, this is great. It's a lot for us to talk about this afternoon. And it's starting to cool down nicely, actually. I think when we started, it was close to 40 degrees. I think we're probably in the mid-30s now, so the temperature is starting to drop. Maybe that's why we're seeing a few more animals coming down. It's picking up a little bit. See some more oxpeckers
on the back of the hippo.
Let's see if we can get those guys there. So this hippo, although he does look like a big rock, every now and then he's rolling to the one side to the other. I think slowly over the next couple of hours he's going to start getting active. So he's been sleeping the whole day. You can see his head moving there, but he's getting a little bit restless. As the temperature drops a little bit and the sun also dips down, it will be perfect time for him to get up and start going out grazing for the evening. So strictly a herbivore. Although there have been 1 or 2 recorded sightings actually where these guys might come across a carcass of a kind, hippo, and they have been known to eat on carrion sometimes, so on dead animals where they can eat, and that just not because they're omnivorous, but more they're craving certain nutrients that can be found in that carrion. They might just, or it could even just be a sign of curiosity, but 99% of the diet is going to be made up of grass species in the area. Another male impala. Let's see if we can get him. The sun, he's got slightly better horns, and the sun is hitting his horns quite nicely. There we go. Lovely. Just sneaking in there in between those guinea fowl. Shame the bank is a little bit steep at the moment, and that's because of all the buffalo herds that have been coming down. they've made quite a little bit of a drop off. So sometimes the antelope have to take their time to find a good place to drink. But on both the left and the right-hand side of the waterhole, there's actually lovely flat ground. And why they don't choose to go there is a complete mystery to me. They prefer to drink in the middle, but that's totally up to them. So I know sometimes people watching can be a bit worried that these impalas can't come to drink. I can assure you that they can. They just take a little bit longer than some of the other animals to find the right place to do so. Is this a wood sandpiper? Can you see which one?
Common.
Common sandpiper.
Yeah, the.
No, he's hiding. We'll see if we can get him again.
Yeah, the white shoulder patch is unmistakable in the common sandpiper.
Lovely.
And that white eyebrow.
So one of the small waders species of the area, just looking for some insects. There he is on the water's edge. Lovely. Oh, these birds are having the time of their life here this afternoon.
Mm.
So for those at home listening, I can tell you I came to start working here in the valley about 3 years ago when I first met Yoram, and Yoram and I worked quite closely together in my very first season, as he was one of the main guys that helped and assisted me with the building of Mwamba Bush Camp. And he was driving me up and down every day to and from the camp because I didn't know how to get here. And I quickly realized that he must be one of the best birders in South Luangwa. I myself am a very keen birder, but Yoram was able to spot birds like you can't believe. Can be driving along and all of a sudden you can spot an owl just during the day, hidden away, tucked in the bushes and amongst the branches. So I've been really privileged over the years to work with him and learn a couple new bird species, which has been great.
Yeah, great company. Yeah, we always enjoy having like I've really enjoyed working with Craig for the few years we've been together. It was really amazing because whenever I have problems, I was very poor in photographic, but have learned a lot of photographing techniques. This time I'm a professional photographer. I can even boast myself.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
No, that's great. I think just so people at home know, being a safari camp out here in South Luangwa, although not strictly that way, we do focus a lot on photography for our guests that come out here. And one great thing is that all of our guides have done quite a bit of photographic training, and I think it just adds to the experience having a guide that actually knows what's going on with photography. So all the guides have come along. Yoram's one of my top filmers this year, filming a lot of interesting things that happen out there, and then we're able to take that footage and make some great videos that we put up on our YouTube channel as well as our Facebook. Golden Weaver.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely. Not has it had a name change recently? Not Hippos, no. Golden Weaver. Lovely.
African golden.
Yeah, African Golden Weaver. Nice. So that beautiful yellow bird there, there on the left-hand side, African Golden Weaver. And these are one of the species that make the hanging basket nests that can overhang water areas.
It's off.
So let's see if there's any other questions that we haven't got into here. Are there blacksmith lapwings here? Yes, they are. Do you want to try again for this weaver? Yeah, exactly. You just stand still for a second. There we go. So Yoram, are you from Mfui?
Yes, indigenous of the valley.
Okay.
5 minutes drive off the park, and for some of you who have been in the valley, as you're driving from the airport, there is a petrol or fuel station just opposite that fuel station. It's like the last village entering the park. That's where I come from.
Okay.
And my family living there. Yeah. Beautiful river.
Mm. Shark, that's a very good question. So the threats for birds would pretty much be other birds. You get African fish eagle here that we've seen catch a guinea fowl before. We have martial eagles here, the largest species of eagle in the area. They can also easily take the guinea fowl. Guinea fowl is probably the most preyed upon bird here in the area. Even the leopards of the area love to go for guinea fowl. Otherwise, it's usually the birds of prey. You know, your other birds of prey, like there's a very small accipiter in the area called a shikra. They're also known for catching, I've seen them here catch the lovebirds and catch some other birds in the area. So yeah, these birds have to be careful, but they're not really on the lookout. So for them to come drink water is no problem. They'll just come drink. But let one of these birds sound an alarm call now, and it will be absolute chaos. They'll all take off and try and flee as soon as possible. And it actually leads to some interesting behavior that I've seen before. Like for instance, we get here the Meave starling or the long-tailed starling. They sometimes will overcrowd the watering hole, and then the birds that arrive slightly later aren't able to drink. So what they might do is they might sound a fake alarm call, chasing off all of their friends, and then they can quickly get to the water and drink before anyone realizes what's happened. So these birds are quite intelligent, but it's like crying wolf as well. But they can't afford not to respond to an alarm call. So everyone looks out, and it's also these birds know each other's alarm call. Like if the guinea fowl starts alarm calling, all of the birds are going to take off at the same time, not just the guinea fowl. So they do understand each other to a certain extent.
Mm.
Oh, Yoram, nice compliment coming here from Sharon saying what an amazing guide you are, and she had a fantastic time with you.
Thank you. You're very welcome.
On the far end, I don't know if you'll see it, but there's a slender mongoose coming down to drink, and he was actually being mobbed by some birds. We'll see if we can get him now. So just past the hippo, he is quite far out of our range. If we can up the exposure, maybe we'll get lucky. There he is. So there, perfect.
Yeah.
Lovely slender mongoose, or also the black-tip mongoose because of that ball at the end of the tail. But some of the birds weren't too happy to see him. They were mobbing him. And what mobbing is, they'll fly down and peck at the back of his head and try and chase him out of the area. Oh, look at that.
Mm.
Good shot there, Rowan.
Excellent.
This is really far away. We're talking, or far for where we are, we'd say about 25 meters at the most, 20 meters. But the camera can pick him up nicely. That's some excellent footage there. So maybe everyone who's watching can let us know where in the world they're watching us from and where you guys are from. It would be quite interesting to see. Oh, that image of that slender mongoose is just incredible that we can see that.
Look at that tail.
Yeah.
Wow, and those birds.
Yeah, check out the birds are going for him now. They really want him out. So the reason why the birds are going for him is this little guy is known for getting inside of birds' nests and getting into their eggs and killing the chicks sometimes. So the birds don't really like him. Now at the watering hole, they'll tolerate him to a certain point. But if he gets anywhere near where they're nesting, these birds are going to go crazy, and they will not stop attacking him until he leaves the area. And I've even heard of them going for small rodent mammals as well. Like Patrick once told me, I saw a video that he took of a slender mongoose killing a tree squirrel. And they're almost the same size, you know. And that was quite interesting. But mostly they're going for birds and eggs. They love eggs.
They're quite powerful animals. Despite being that slender body, they can go for the bird even the size of the sparrow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're quite very tough birds, yeah.
Yeah, Jen, I can't agree with you more. Yoram has defied human nature sometimes, the way he can spot some of the birds while we're driving. You spend most of the drive more asking yourself, how did he actually see that? It's quite amazing. And these guys, your local guides in the area, are just so incredible when it comes to knowledge, as well as finding the animals and seeing everything, and contributes to some of the amazing sightings that we have. I think he just he's hiding. We'll see if he pops out now. Oh, hi there, Annette. Yeah, it's the banded mongoose are also a daily visitor down here at the waterhole. But yeah, it's fantastic to see the slender mongoose. Don't see them too often. You can just see his head poking out there. He's trying to see if the coast is clear. Maybe he wants some more water, but he's scared of the birds. We'll have to see if he comes back. And he's still got that common sandpiper walking around, seeing what he can find to eat. Yeah, Adrian, hi there. I think the bird you're referring to was the red-billed buffalo weaver.
Yep.
It's one of what we call one of the little five in the area. So they're commonly found in small flocks, and they're actually community breeders. So they all live together in very large nests for such a small bird, where you'll just have an alpha male and female that basically do the mating. I'm sure that's the bird you're referring to.
Yeah, according to the description, exactly correct. That's a red-billed buffalo weaver.
Yeah, thanks, Christine. Yeah, we are very lucky. We know exactly how blessed we are to be out here and to be able to see all of this. Looks like a cloud is passing in front of the sun now. And it's actually nice. The temperature dropped there quite quickly when the sun went away. Rowan, if you can, let's see if we can get this hummerkop that's a bit closer here. I know that we've seen him quite a few times already, but I think this is the closest he's been. If we're very lucky, he might catch a frog or something until we can spot the next mammal around. There we go. Lovely. Whoop. Doesn't like the close-up. So I think we see this hummerkop here every day. There's actually a nest not too far away from the camp.
Just took off.
Yeah, maybe a kilometer away, and I'm sure this is that hummerkop's nest. All right, so quite a few people from the UK and Johannesburg. Jacques, favorite animal down at the watering hole? I can tell you that when you're sitting here in this hide and a herd of elephants is drinking very close by, it's quite a humbling feeling. You just everyone keeps quiet and watches closely. It's really interesting to see what happens, especially if it's a female elephant with her calf, and you can see how they nurture each other, and almost like you pick up on a lot of the emotions within the herd. So that's always lovely to watch. I think also one of the very interesting things to see here is when a large herd of buffalo come down. Sometimes up to 400 or 500 buffalo coming to drink water at the same time. It's just a sensory overload, the sights, the sounds, the smells, everything. That's always really interesting to see.
Fork-tailed drongo.
Nice. Just here on the left-hand side, that's a nice fork-tailed drongo. Yeah, Yoram spotted a nice, there it is in front of us now, fork-tailed drongo, the blackbird. You can see where the name comes from with a lovely fork there in the tail. Up. Wait, he's just drinking, he's going to come back. Oh, a little bit higher up. I think he's camera shy. He's not the most beautiful bird around, but I can tell you what, he's definitely one of the most intelligent birds out here in the bush. Really, really interesting bird. They can actually mimic other birds' calls, which is quite smart of them to do. Especially predator calls like your pearl-spotted owlet, they can do it perfectly and confuse other birds in the area sometimes. Hi there, Bridget. That's a very interesting question that you've asked. You're asking about the close interaction with wildlife. Has it changed our personal perspective from an emotional point of view? I think it's quite subjective in terms of it depends which animal it is. I think as humans, we're quite strange animals ourselves in that we'll put more value on certain animals' lives than others. So we can feel like, say, quite close to elephants and lions and leopards. We associate with them quite easily. Something like a bird, for instance, we don't associate so easily from an emotional point of view. I think the best way to answer your question is watching animals on TV or in this format over a computer is extremely different to when you see it in real life. And you know, it's a very hard thing to explain to someone when they ask you why you live in the bush or why you do what you do and why do you want to be around animals. It's more a feeling than anything else. So to try and explain it to someone is quite difficult, but yeah, there definitely is an emotional connection that you feel living this kind of lifestyle and being surrounded by animals. You almost feel part of nature again, which is the way it used to be for all humans, you know. And I think nowadays humans have disconnected themselves quite a bit from nature. And it's a really important aspect. And I think a lot of issues that we're facing now, whether it be global warming or lack of recycling and all these other things that we should be doing, really all stems from an emotional disconnection from nature. So living this way, yes, you do definitely get emotionally involved. It's quite a lot different to seeing it on television and so on. So the best way is for you to come yourself and experience it. You're welcome to come visit us anytime. Come see it for yourself. Oh, Jacques, that's awesome. So, okay, it only shows one person online, but we've got a little audience there in the UK that's watching. So that's great. So, Jacques, ask your friends there to ask some questions, whatever they want to know. Yoram and I will try and answer for you guys. Lovely baby baboon or youngster just walking over the bank there. Yeah, the baboons are great in this area. The yellow baboon, So different to the common species that everyone knows of, the Chacma baboon, which isn't everyone's favorite because Chacma baboons known for being a little bit aggressive sometimes, and they're also really naughty when humans are involved. They like to live close to humans because humans usually throw food away and discard food, and you can be sure the baboons try to get there as quickly as possible and take advantage of that. But yeah, in my experience, I don't know how you feel, Yoram. I think the yellow baboon's much more relaxed than the Chacma. They seem to be very chilled out.
You're very right. But they have caused a lot of trouble close where I live in town because maybe less of food.
Oh, okay.
They have learned how to open the doors from the houses. And when I remember my wife coming from the market, putting on her trousers and a proper shirt, but still being recognized as a female, they can be naughty out there. But here they are quite peaceful animals compared to that. The Chacma baboon that you're relating, like in Livingstone, Mosatunya National Park, they're quite aggressive. True, yeah.
Maybe it's because we're only here for 6 months at a time, so they don't really get to know us too much before we leave.
And the olive baboon bigger than the yellow. Where do we get them? Olive baboon.
Olive baboon. Bridget, I don't know too much about the olive. I can find out and get back to you rather than me trying to make up an answer. I'm not 100% sure. The only species that I'm very familiar with is the yellow and the Chacma. But let me see here. Let's see if I can find an answer for you. Sharon, that's a good question. I'm sure Yoram can tell you a bit about the different months of the seasons that we're here and what you can expect at different times of the season. So maybe about how much rain we have in the beginning of the season and going on.
This really depends on, to be honest. Like last year, I have a few guests now in camp which really enjoyed the dog sightings like this time of the year, which is very opposite from the last year. We have none this time of the year. The game here is absolutely fantastic any time of the year. Beginning of the our season, they are especially, but still we can find the game, and the vegetation is still nice and green. All the trees still have the leaves. You pick up green pastures when you're driving around. To be honest, the game is like throughout excellent. We haven't struggled with any game around here. This time of the year, you get big heads of wildebeest, the Cookson wildebeest, which is endemic to South Luangwa National Park, that you cannot get elsewhere in the world, only found in South Luangwa. And this area here, Mwamba Kaingo area, we are so blessed that we get like big heads of the wildebeest. When you go slightly south of the park, we can pick up 1-2 sighting, maybe solitary wildebeest, which is very different from this area. Yeah. So any time of the year, May, June through the November, October is fine. Yeah. It is the heat some people like this time of the year that will run away from, but the game is good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think this season we've been, or in the seasons I've been here especially, but this season, I think from the first month, it's been just so busy. Like we've had such great sightings this year. So from May all the way through, I think my favorite thing about earlier in the season are all the inland lagoons, and there's a few different birds around. There's quite a few, like, you know, fishing parties for birds. But as it dries out, like now, your mammals definitely come into their own, especially predator and prey interaction is quite common. So that's always nice to see. National Geographic and so on. So yeah, I think it's very hard to nail down like what is the best time. Every single month there's got something special happening.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're going to see beautiful animals. It doesn't matter when you come. Sometimes are just better than others in terms of birds, perhaps, or how much water's around and so on. But yeah, Jacques, maybe you can come stay with us every single month, and then you'll see which one is your favorite.
Yeah, great. The water is falling just off.
No elephants today. I was hoping for a herd of elephant. They're probably one of my favorite animals to see out here. While we were setting up everything just before we started, we had some elephants in the area. We'll just stand by for a bit and see if they can. Who else is going to come visit us before the light starts fading?